Thanks to everyone for joining us. We'll get started in a few minutes. We'll give folks another minute or so to sign on, but thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining the public hearing on the proposed rule changes for Division 15 for Oregon Parks and Recreation Department. Tonight, we will go over introductions, then do a brief presentation on the proposed rule changes, answer some clarifying questions on the process of the rule change. We may not have answers to all of the questions that you're putting into chat currently. If you have specific questions, we would encourage you to put them as part of your public comment, either in writing or when you do your verbal public comment. And Joe will be handling our public questions. And then we will do a public comment at the end where anyone who would like to provide a verbal comment will be enabled to speak. So don't worry if you can't speak yet. We'll go through a process where you raise your hands and have an ability to unmute and provide your comment. So before we get started, I wanted to have all of our staff introduce ourselves. My name is Katie Gauthier. I'm the Government Relations and Communications Manager for Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, and I'm the rule coordinator for this evening. Caleb, would you like to go next?
Hi, everyone. My name's Caleb Dixon, and I'm a research analyst with Oregon Parks and Recreation Department.
And Joe.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jo Niehaus. I'm the Senior Policy Analyst for Oregon Parks and Recreation Department.
Great, thank you. And thank you all for being here. We very much appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to share your thoughts on the proposed rules. A little bit of background, Division 15 is the division of Oregon Parks and Recreation rules that cover reservations, rates, and reservation policies. The proposed changes are designed to improve financial sustainability, maximize campsite availability, and preserve the quality of our visitor experience and availability of campsites. We will go over the proposed changes in more detail this evening. They include updating the cancellation policy, changing special access pass program eligibility and benefits, updating rate ranges to accommodate additional dynamic pricing opportunities, and making changes to the day use parking program to allow for license plates instead of requiring a physical permit in a windshield. The reason we are looking at proposed changes are in large part due to an agency budget shortfall caused by rising operational costs, increased visitation, and a reduction in the projected lottery funding for the agency. Visitor fees do not cover the full cost of park operations, and OPRD does not receive general fund for our operations or tax revenue for operations. The changes are really meant to keep parks open and sustainably funded. We want to ensure that parks are well maintained and available for future generations. OPRD is committed to a transparent and responsible stewardship of our public lands. In addition to increasing fees, we are looking at streamlining costs, looking to add more cabins and yurts, and partnerships that may increase opportunities for revenue and visitor amenities that many people have expressed an interest in. So first, we're going to talk about the proposed changes to reservation and cancellations. Caleb.
Yeah, thank you, Katie. So when we're looking at the proposed rules for cancellations in particular, the problem that we're facing right now is that 25% of reservations are ultimately canceled, and this number is actually closer to 30% in the busy summer months. And the people who make these cancellations, even if it's the last minute, even if they no-show, are still receiving refunds with campsites sitting empty. And this kind of means that people who want to book those sites don't even get a chance to book them. So the solution that we're proposing is a policy change that incentivizes earlier cancellation so that other campers can book the sites, and the sites basically can become available earlier so that others can book them. Now, looking at the current rule for cancellations, campers can receive a full refund for usage fees, so minus the reservation fee, if they cancel more than 3 days before arrival. And likewise, special access pass holders can receive the nights that they booked fully refunded back to their pass if they cancel ahead of time. Now, the proposed rule, under the proposed rule, first of all, the policy will be fully detailed on our website, but the refund amounts will be based on how long a reservation has been held and how close it is to the arrival date when the cancellation occurs. Again, trying to incentivize earlier cancellations. And for special access pass holders, the number of nights that are refunded back to their pass will be based on a similar structure as the general camper policy. Now, for no-shows, under the current rule, if somebody no-shows, they lose the first night's fee, but they are refunded for the remaining nights. Similarly, if a special access pass holder, if they no-show, they lose the first night on their pass, but the remaining nights are credited back to the pass. And under the proposed rule, there will be no refund for no-show at all for any of the nights booked. And for a special access pass holder, they will lose all the nights reserved if they no-show. Next slide, please. So this graphic here helps to explain how the refunds are calculated under the proposed rule, or under the proposed policy. So the first question we ask is, how long ago did you book your campsite? So was it more than 4 months ago? If that's the case, your refund will be determined in the left column. And if it's less than 4 months ago, your refund will be determined in the right column. And then the second question we ask is, well, how close are we to arrival? If it's less than 7 days, it's very close. Then we also have a penalty or a refund structure, sorry, for 7 to 30 days, and then another refund for over 30 days. And so we just look at the top right side, we see that a 100% refund would be given for people who held their reservation for less than 4 months and they cancel a month or more before they arrive. So these are people who are really canceling early. So the incentive is that they would receive a full refund. Now looking at the bottom left, we see that it's only a 25% refund. So this is for people who booked more than 4 months ago, meaning they booked a long time ago. They held onto their reservation for a long time, and then they canceled less than 7 days before arrival. So for this group, they would receive the lowest refund. And so you can see here how the refunds are higher for people who cancel earlier under this policy. Next slide, please. Now, the next topic is looking at rate ranges and dynamic pricing within the proposed rules. And the current problem is that, currently the agency's rate ranges for campsites as well as reservation fees, they do not reflect the camping market, and they limit the agency's ability to adjust when things like rising costs or demand shifts happen. So the solution is to expand these ranges to allow for flexibility to be responsive to these types of issues in the future. And so under the proposed rule, there's an update to the reservation fee and camping fee ranges to reflect future costs and shifts in demand. So in this case, we're only talking about the ranges. So we're not actually increasing fees under the proposed rule. So the ranges are what sets the minimum and maximum allowable rates for now and into the future years. The actual fees will be set separately. So we're not immediately jumping to the top end of the range. So for example, despite this rule being proposed, the camping fees are already in place for next summer, and that's not going to change under this. This again is changing the ranges for future flexibility, which would ultimately allow for greater use of demand-based pricing, where rates can vary based on seasons, park types, day of week, holidays, amenities, things that are common in the kind of in the camping market. And ultimately, the goal is to have this additional flexibility to support long-term revenue stability while also maintaining high-quality park services for visitors.
Great. Thank you, Caleb. Next, we wanted to cover the Special Access Pass, or SAP it is often called. This is the program that we have for service-connected disabled veterans and foster and adoptive foster families. This program has been around nearly 20 years, and it has grown to over 41,000 participants. While OPRD wants to continue to honor the service of veterans and support foster and adoptive foster families, we must do so in a way that's financially sustainable for the agency. The proposed changes would limit participants to Oregon residents. Both foster families and veteran participants would receive 10 nights per year of free camping and free annual day use passes. There were articles that expressed that the free day use parking would be going away, but that is not the case. They would still be able to park at any for free at any park that charges a fee for parking. The cancellations would, as Caleb described, would mirror the cancellation policy for other site holders. And the changes would be phased in so that any current pass holders would continue to keep their pass, but we wouldn't allow folks from out of state to receive new passes. And then as passes expired, we would not renew passes for individuals from out of state. And then the day use parking permit is another change that we're looking at. The fee ranges would be updated for daily, monthly, and a 24-month permit. Currently, we are not planning to offer a 24-month permit for 2026, but this does allow for there to be an option to do that in the future. And in some state parks, we have started allowing individuals to enter their license plate into an online system to pay for daily parking. And this change would recognize that you don't need to put a physical pass on your permit on your dashboard, but enter it into a license plate works. Additionally, there would be an opportunity to set a maximum vendor fee, but then vendors could charge a fee when they're selling it. Outside vendors are selling parks annual permits. The additional proposed changes are looking at an overnight parking site type. This is for parks that allow for overnight parking. Some of our parks along rivers or at a lake may have an overnight parking that allows for people who are boating to park while not camping, and it creates that site type. For state parks day, we would move from free camping and free daily parking fee waivers to only waiving the fee for Oregon residents. And this would be implemented for any future camping. So anyone who has made a reservation for this year would continue to receive the fee waiver. For marketing and promotional fee waivers, we would make sure that they were in alignment with agency goals and the agency mission. And we're just clarifying the use of gift certificates. In the past, we had a paper gift certificate, but we've now moved to an electronic gift certificate, so there's not a delay in receiving those gift certificates. The process for the proposed rule changes, we have public comment opened until January 15th at 5 p.m. Once all of the comments are received, they will be reviewed and analyzed by staff and then presented to the Oregon Parks and Recreation Commission at their February 2026 commission meeting. The commission will have an opportunity to make changes and adopt as proposed, or they can decide not to adopt the rules and direct staff to do further work. If the proposed rules are adopted, they will be implemented over the spring. Anyone with an existing reservation will be notified and be given time to make changes before the new policies are implemented. So we will now move into the question portion of the hearing. I see that there are a number of people putting questions in the Q&A. Again, these are questions that are clarifying the process, but if there are questions around larger policy choices, we really encourage you to put those in as part of your public comment. We also do have an email if you have a specific question about understanding our current policy or current processes. You can email park.info@oprd.oregon.gov if you have specific process, current policy questions. Joe, do we have any specific questions that we need to answer before we open up the comments?
I've been trying to answer some of these questions that are coming in through the Q&A. I realize I'm limited to answering the questions that are specific to the process for this rule hearing, and some of these are more comments. If people would like their comments to be seen outside of just me, because we can't show the comments on this Zoom meeting for public anyway, we highly encourage you to send in these comments. You can copy and paste them. We'll show you some different options, but they're also available on our website. And we can put that slide up right after we actually, Katie, do you mind skipping ahead? So if folks want to look at that slide before we get into the full Yeah, here we go. So we would love to get all of these Q&A things people have typed in as part of written comments so that we can take that testimony and make it part of the record and make sure that our commission sees it in February. So you can do that 3 ways. It can be done online. That's kind of a longer link. So you can also use this QR code, or you can Google Division 15 OPRD rules, and it will take you straight to that page. You can send us in writing too as well, or you can send us an email at oprd.publiccomment@oprd.oregon.gov. And you have plenty of time. We're having this hearing now, but the public comment period is open for another month. So I apologize. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to type out answers to all of these. I'll skip ahead and look for ones that are specifically process oriented. And then I will stop talking now and we can go back to the public hearing part so folks can speak. Thanks, Katie.
Great, thank you, Joe, for answering the process questions. So for the public hearing portion, which is what you all came for, we hope that understanding a little bit about the specific proposed rules is helpful and the reasoning behind the proposed rules. Today, we are here to listen to your thoughts on the proposed rules. No final decision has been made or will be made tonight. Each person will have 2 minutes to comment. OPRD will not respond to questions during this portion of the hearing, but we do encourage, if you have a question, to include that as part of your testimony. And if you can also comment in writing, email, mail, or snail mail. We will provide that information again at the end of this presentation. Commenters will be called in the order that you raise your hands using the raise hand feature. Once I call your name, I'll enable you to speak, and then you will need to unmute. If you happen to be utilizing this via phone, you'll need to press *6 to unmute. And once we start the comments, a timer is going to appear on the screen, and we'll let you know how long you have remaining, and it will beep at the end of your time. The meeting's being recorded and will be posted on our rulemaking website. If you don't wish to make a comment, you're welcome to stay and listen to comments or sign off. And we appreciate you coming to listen and to be a part of this process. So again, here is the way to provide a written public comment. We need them by 5 p.m. on January 15th. So I'm going to stop sharing. If you would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. And then Joe's going to get the timer up on the screen, and I will call the first person.
Okay, sorry about that. I can't have the Q&A open and do this at the same time. So a quick pause on the Q&A. It looks like we have 4 people with hands up. I'll have 3 minutes on my screen.
2 minutes.
It's not sharing. 2 minutes, sorry.
We're going to start with Craig Chafin. And Craig, you should be able to speak if you can unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess my concern is why are you guys trying to limit veterans and foster care families' time to use the state parks? And I ask this because I've been able to utilize it in both avenues. As a foster child, I was able to use it and go camping with the families, which is a very rare thing because most families don't do it. And then as a veteran, I use it quite often. I'm currently homeless. By technicality, I live out of my truck camper. Me being able to go use the state parks allows me to keep my batteries charged. And if it's a severe weather situation, I can go there and use power, have bathroom, shower resources. You guys cutting back that resource is actually a big hindrance in my life situation. I'd love to buy a house right now, but because I live on a fixed income, because of the VA, I'm not able to actually afford these $600,000 houses around here, or 500,000 or whatever. I'm priced out of buying a home, and what I can afford for an apartment is usually ran by a slumlord. So I choose to use the state parks and BLM land. But I feel offended and targeted, not only as a prior foster care kid, but as a veteran for services that Oregonians voted for years ago. And you guys are trying to limit it. For what reason? You want to save $1. I think there's other ways you guys could save $1. I think there's other ways you guys can plan for things. When I was a troubled teen, you guys used to have a GAP program, or not GAP, Matrix, with Marion County, where they used to chop the wood and deliver it and stack it at the campgrounds. You guys have contracted that out.
Craig, if you can wrap up in the next couple seconds. We're at time.
All I have to say is you guys have a budget and you haven't worked within it, so why should we give you more money?
Great. Thank you so much for your comment, Craig. Next, we have Kayla Laraway.
Hi, can you hear?
Yes.
Hi, I'm calling and speaking on behalf of my husband, who is a disabled veteran, and also myself. I'm a doctor of occupational therapy and have done a lot of research with nature therapy and the benefits that can have for certain populations, especially our veterans. I have questions about why you guys haven't tried doing like a 3 strikes policy for people who do no-show. I have questions about if you have looked at the cancellation or no-show rates of those who use the special access programs compared to those without, or those who don't have the special access programs. It seems like for those populations who really benefit the most from it, which are the foster children and veterans and people who have a lot of trauma as their part of their physical and mental health and who really need those programs, that those are the people who are having costs increased to them. So I'm wondering if you've actually looked at the rates of cancellations between veterans, because most of the veterans that we camp with have more integrity than to just no-show. I also was wondering, like, are all of these things that are proposed going to be passed, or is there going to be conversation? Is it like an all and everything, or certain things? Then I don't necessarily have issues with some things that were proposed, but targeting veteran and foster families is really not your best use of those rate changes.
Yeah, and I feel like you're going from 14 days a month to 10 days for the whole year. Like that's insane to me. That's such a crazy reduction. You know, it's like I'm able to go camping with my kids, and I love that. And you're gonna reduce the amount that I can go camping because I can't afford to go camping as much as we do with having only 10 days per year. Like that's insane to me. It's like I don't know how to say it. Like, it is my service not worth as much anymore?
I also have
We're out of time. If you can wrap up in the next few seconds.
Yeah, I had also written a comment about the peak pricing. That doesn't seem very equitable just for like general population. So if you guys are going to do peak pricing during the summer months, then that means that that's going to be pricing out a lot of lower income families. That's not very equitable to allow access in nature for everybody and all Oregonians.
And sorry, last thing,
Thank you, Kyla.
We camp a lot in the winter when there's tons
there-
of spots open, but we won't be able to do that anymore because we have to save it for summer.
Oh, this is 2 people. I'm sorry, that was my fault. I interrupted. Can you repeat that last part you said?
Oh, we camp a lot in the winter time, and when we camp in the winter, there's 90% of the campground is open. Like nobody's camping because it's winter time, but it's like I'm not gonna pay to camp like during those times because
You're
Okay.
essentially having people
Okay.
prioritize what summer
Thank you
months
so
over
much. I'm gonna move on to restart the timer for the next person, just to be respectful of a lot of other folks who are here to speak tonight. And then I did just real quick want to answer a process question here, Katie. I believe it was asked if this is an all or nothing situation. That is not the case. The Division 15 rules contain a lot of different changes and amendments, and it could be that some are accepted, some are not, some could be adjusted. So this is why we really encourage people to send in your written comments to us so that we can make sure that those make it all in front of our commission, and you have until January 15th. So I'm going to
Yes.
stop talking now and restart that timer if you want to call your next person.
Yes, and if you run out of time to share all of your comments, you're welcome to also submit a written comment. We really do want to hear from folks. We just want to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to share tonight. So next up is Matthew Carter.
Well,
Matthew.
so caveat for the previous two is I'm a disabled veteran, Desert Storm, Iraqi Freedom, and it's just appalling because camping is a decompression point for me, and I guarantee other veterans. I was actually a park host for about almost 4 years, and there's a lot of stuff that I believe would help instead of cutting our days down to 10 days a year. We need to work with that because that's just total slap in the face. I mean, we sacrifice our lives and our families, for this country, for Oregon, and now we're basically getting cut off the leg, so to speak. RV dump station. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. RV dump stations, I've noticed when I was hosting, there's no pay system for people who are not campers at state parks. They're dumping for the septic tanks, and that just adds to if we're not be able to dump. I remember at Tugman State Park, it's right off of 101. I was leaving the campground to dump, and there was 2 huge lines all the way back to 101. And so I had to go to Honeyman, but there's no pay station there. You can do a pay station and then have a code for the registered campers. That's revenue you can get in. Can we stop selling firewood? I don't know if that's a possibility. A contractor comes and delivers it. I mean, I'm just throwing some stuff out there. Also, illegal dumping. I've seen when I was a host, especially at La Pine, maybe put locks on the trash compactors and something else to prevent people off the campgrounds from dumping their household trash. And, what about Collier State Park, real quick? That can be open year round for all the Crater Lake, for all the stuff for the winter activities for Central Oregon. I think Collier should stay open year round for that. That's a lot of revenue you guys can make. So that's my thoughts.
Great. Thank you, Matthew.
You're welcome.
Next up is James. Go ahead and unmute, James. It will be the audio button. You will need to click the audio button to unmute.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm on Linux, so it's kind of hard. All right. My name is James Marcroft Clark. I'm an Oregon resident, 100% permanent and total service-connected disabled veteran, a former park host, a peer wellness specialist, and a graduate in environmental studies. I led outdoor programs for veterans and have long relied on Oregon state parks for health, healing, and professional insight. Several years ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer linked to my service. My treatment required isolation from people and animals for 10 days. Living in a small home, a motel was financially impossible, and other options were unsafe for those around me. Access to a state park campsite allowed me to safely complete my treatment. During that time, access to park supported all 8 spheres of wellness. Emotionally, I felt relief and connection. Socially, I stayed safe but engaged. Spiritually, I experienced nature and restorative power. Physically, I stayed active through hiking and beach activities. Intellectually, I explored organisms and geology. Environmentally, I deepened my stewardship ethic. Occupationally, I gained perspective as a visitor and a professional. And financially, it was feasible only because of the veteran benefit. This illustrates just one veteran's experience. Many others face similar challenges, often unconsidered in policy decisions. Parks are not just recreational, they are essential to wellness, safety, and environmental connection. I support limited free camping for out-of-state veterans with reciprocity agreements, but residential veterans should retain full benefits, particularly disabled veterans. I also support reasonable time limits for foster families and flexible cancellation policies during off-peak seasons. Finally, from a public trust doctrine perspective, natural resources are held for the benefit of all public. Reducing access while expecting stewardship and environmental responsibility is contradictory and unfair. Oregon parks must remain accessible to the people, especially those most in need. Thank you for your attention.
Great. Thank you very much for being here, James.
You're welcome.
Next, we'll move to Beatrice.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, James. That was very well spoken. So I own and operate Bridalveil Lodge in the Columbia River Gorge, and across the street we have Bridalveil State Parks, and it's definitely a very busy state parks during the summer months, and I think that that is a missed opportunity to not allow for paid parking. Your state parks has started to have paid parking at Vista House. And so I think I don't understand why Bridalveil was missed in this, because they have full service bathrooms at that park. So we get a lot of out-of-state visitors. I also want to reiterate that taking access away from veterans and foster families is pretty diabolical. We camp a lot. We're new to the state. We've been here 10 years. We enjoy our camping. We upgraded to a trailer, and I think definitely full access sites should be a little bit more, because I think they're very much undervalued. So I think that's where you can see an opportunity to raise prices, like you do at Beverly Beach. They for full access hookups, they charge, I think, $50. I think that's very equitable for most travel trailers. So I think that we need to start looking at more equitable ways of charging instead of trying to do a surge pricing during the busy months. So state parks must stay equitable for all people. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrice. Ben, you're next.
Hi there.
Go ahead.
So this is, again, just another takeaway is what it feels like from the state of Oregon. It's every time you turn around, there's one more takeaway, whether it be just as a regular citizen, or in my family's case, my wife is the disabled veteran with PTSD, and being able to camp with the family, our two young children, is a great way for her to decompress, de-stress, reconnect with nature, reground. And we definitely do not abuse that system. You know, I'd say in the last year, we maybe gone 14 total nights. We were just at Newport State Park there, the South Beach State Park, about a month ago. It was maybe 30% full. So again, that was just a, hey, let's go down on the weekend, barely full. I like the one speaker earlier that said, charge for dumping the potty. That's a great idea. It's going to cost you $10 or haul it home or something. So charging some money for things like that. But again, we wonder why Oregon just continues to lose, like, day in and day out, and just the budgets keep increasing, and the services go down, and it's every single month. And it's just, it's almost laughable if it wasn't so sad that every time you open a new article, a new news spread, it's taxes are going up, services are going down. We're going to take this away. We're going to give it to this other group of people. It's always one thing or another. And it's very unfair when you look across the entire state of Oregon and you see veterans being singled out for using a special access pass, which again is maybe a cost avoidance. It's not taking cost away. It's not adding to, especially when you look at the fullness of campgrounds certain other times of the year. It's just another takeaway, and it's a slap in the face, and it's just really sad how this state just continues to run.
Great. Thank you, Ben, for your comment. Next, we have Ken.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to say the special access pass has been in place for many years, just like you said when you started. There's signs all over the states that say we support our veterans, but you want to reduce our access by over 90%. I am a 100% disabled veteran. Our special access pass visitors shouldn't pay the price for the state park's mismanagement of your funds. There are better ways to make up your financial shortfall. According to Lisa, there are less than 20% of disabled veterans utilize their full time, so the benefit to cut their access by such a large amount is minuscule. I'd like to see how you come up with the reduction to special access passes going to save $2.2 million. I see that on the website, but I don't see the math for you to come up with that amount. Lisa Sumption actually told me in an email the reduction to the special access pass isn't to help with a shortfall. It's to allow access for disabled Oregon veterans and senior citizens. Why do special access pass users get hit with over a 90% reduction, but the rates for other users is only going up a minimal amount? This is unbalanced reduction. It's unacceptable. It's not fair, and it needs to be reconsidered. I recommend you look at ways to improve special access pass visitors, not cut it by over 90%. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Next, we have Jeff.
Yeah, hey, good evening. I'm also, like some of the others here, 100% disabled, permanent and total, and retired active duty Army. I was born and raised in Oregon, and my wife and I came back here after I retired. I'm not going to echo most of what everyone said. I think everyone's hitting on it, but what Ken just hit on is probably the biggest one. There doesn't seem to be any justification behind the statements that are made that this is going to save a ton of money for the state. I don't see any numbers where you report the gross revenue of the state parks. I don't see anywhere where you report the gross cost of the free nights for the disabled veterans anywhere. I don't see where I can find what percent of the total revenue for the state parks passes reduce. And I also don't see any statistics on the impact of these cuts to the first speaker as he hit our disabled and homeless veterans. So, in his position, he's going from being able to have a safe and warm and nice place to stay a third of the month, 10 days out of the month, to less than a day every month. It's 0.83 days a month is what this averages out to. So there doesn't seem to be any impact assessment that's really been done. I know there's a policy analyst on the call. I wonder what other analysts have been involved with this. And I think you owe the public the numbers behind your math or behind your results. I would also like to know why we're not drastically increasing out-of-state fees to make up for whatever cost, deficiencies that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Next, we have Linda.
Hi, good evening. First of all, I want to start out saying I 100% agree with your changes to the cancellation policy. I think that's a great way to help reserve spots for people who really want to go. But more importantly, as a foster parent for the past 25 years and now an adoptive parent, I strongly oppose the changes to the special access pass. Our family, including our child who has ADHD, relies on the special access pass and the Oregon State Parks, not just for recreation, but for our child's emotional well-being and stability. Camping is his favorite activity and one of the few environments where he's able to regulate, decompress, and thrive. These regular camping trips are a critical part of how we support his behavioral, emotional, and sensory needs. The current 14 nights per month allowance gives adoptive families the flexibility they need to meet their children where they are day by day. Reducing this access to only 10 nights would take away a resource that directly supports the health of some of Oregon's most vulnerable children, those who have experienced trauma, instability, or special behavioral needs. This proposal would significantly limit our ability to provide the outdoor experiences that help our child succeed. Being a foster parent and adoptive parent is hard. It is very difficult. And the existing camping benefit is one of the few supports that has a real practical impact. It strengthens families, encourages bonding, and helps children heal. Restricting it so drastically would create unnecessary hardship without meaningful cost savings to the state park system. I respectfully urge you to maintain the current 14 nights per month and continue supporting adoptive families in a way that reflects Oregon's commitment to the well-being of children. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Linda. Next, we have Dave.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Good evening. Going with a lot of the theme here tonight, I am a disabled veteran. Going with what somebody spoke on earlier, talking about the changes to the special access pass, diabolical is a kinder word than I would like to use. I feel like there is much better options for looking for new revenue than looking at this special access pass and the proposed changes. The reduction that we're looking at is way too harsh to start with. As you can see from other people that have spoke, there are a large number of people that depend on those 14 nights a month. Really, I would like to say the idea behind the changes to the special access pass is very, very short-sighted. And I really do expect better than that. By proposing these changes, specifically to veterans, you're putting a value on that service, and you're saying that that value isn't as good as it used to be. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dave. Next, we have Russell.
Good evening. I'm a disabled veteran in Oregon. I do not agree with any of these proposed changes for the access pass. I do agree that if there's a cancellation, the cancellation could potentially be fully charged, not just the reservation fee, but every night charged, because people are warned that there is a and they're going to definitely mess other people up. But like some of these other veterans and foster families have said, those parks are not full a majority of the winter months. That's when I camp a lot with my family. I camp in the summer too a lot, but I have to get reservations 6 months in advance like everybody else. This is a completely disrespectful thing to do to veterans when this program was put in place for disabled veterans in Oregon. There are all sorts of other options. You could charge for wood. You could charge for dumping for people who do not come in and stay at the parks. You could put more merchandise in the stores. There's a lot of different ways that you could raise money, get scout troops involved, do whatever you have to do to stop this. $2.2 million saved by veterans and foster families, having a major benefit taken away when there's benefits being given to other people that shouldn't have them is disrespectful. Okay, this state, being a sanctuary state, has spent billions on programs for other people that are not supposed to be here, and we are here, and we are Americans, and we have served. this was given to us, you are going to absolutely destroy veterans by taking away something that they rely on. No matter what veteran it is, no matter what veteran is on here talking tonight, you are going to destroy their lives and their families because of doing this to them for a very small amount of money that like one of the other vets, you're not backing up. You're not backing this up. Where's the numbers that are showing that veterans and foster families have destroyed a budget for the entire state park system? That is unreliable. That is not a good way to present yourselves to the public by saying that veterans should not be at parks because we
Russell,
are
you're at time. If you
budget.
can
No, you're
wrap
going
up
to
in
cut
the
me off.
next
That's
few
fine. But
seconds.
please input that there are veterans that are not going to be able to be here tonight and that cannot advocate for themselves.
Great. Thank you for your comment, Russell. Next we have Craig. Craig, you need to unmute.
Okay, I already spoke, but I'm going to speak again. I don't know who it is in the background there, but if I hear them make another snarky comment or goodbye, I promise you, this is the wrong group to piss off. As a United States Marine veteran, there is nobody worse that knows the more of the government games than this man right here and many of my friends. People are coming to you speaking from the heart to government employees. We were government property at one point, so we know the lowest end and we know it's expected of us. So we expect you to behave the same way with respect and dignity for everybody around you.
Okay.
So whoever's sitting there in the back, goodbye, better knock it off.
Okay, thank you for your comment, Craig. That looks like all of the comments that we have this evening. Is there anyone who did not have a chance to comment that would like to comment? It does look like we have a couple more people who have not had a chance to comment that would like to. Marjorie, you're next.
Katie, 1 second. Let me pull that back up. And then if I may, I think Craig touched on something that is really important, and that's everybody's time here tonight. There are a lot of veterans, and on behalf of the agency, also thank you all for your service. If there's been some snarky comments in the background there, I haven't heard that. Maybe my speakers aren't quite catching all of the background noise. So if folks could remain muted until it is their turn to speak, to be respectful of the speakers. I may interrupt when your time is up only because we need to make sure everybody else has time to be heard. So again, if that comes across and it catches you off guard a little bit, the timer should be on the screen. Make sure that you can see that too. And I'll try to not be interruptive, but remind folks that when your 2 minutes are up, that they are up so that other speakers have time. Okay. And then I'll make sure that this is back up.
Thank you, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Marjorie, if you want to unmute.
Hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Right. Thank you for taking my comments today. I do appreciate it. I just want to comment on a couple of things. This hits near and dear to me, and I want to just say that our foster parents, our resource foster parents, and veterans are really a group of individuals who have dedicated their time, their lives to, like in the case of resource parents, to Oregon's most vulnerable residents, our children. And I love when I see kids at the state park and they're kind of learning about the outdoors and they're burning off some of this energy. And I know that our resource parents work so hard. And I hate to see this benefit go from something monthly to such a significant change of once a year or 10 days a year, or 14, whatever it is. And the same with our veterans who have done so much for our communities and for our safety. So it's really unfortunate to me to take away this monthly benefit to the extreme that it is. If there's an issue, I would recommend maybe considering something a little less drastic, as it feels that it really overlooks the valuable contributions these folks have made, and it risks in my mind, diminishing the recognition they deserve from our community and our state. So it doesn't feel equitable. And then I'm not in favor of this dynamic pricing recommendation, because it feels like that takes away from the ability of those who are responsibly planning for their camping or for their vacation time. And that doesn't really feel equitable, because it feels to me like that could potentially make only those who have money, who are wealthy, able to camp during those busy time frames. And I think the larger problem is those who reserve a week they want to come on the weekend, so they take a full week. And I would say, we should stop and consider that. If you don't show in that first 24 hours, you forfeit your site, and maybe that site could be rented
We're
out
out of
again.
time. If you can wrap up in the next few seconds.
That's it. And I also am going to miss the 2-year pass, but that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie. Or Margie, sorry.
No worries.
Herbert.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I am also going to submit written comments, but I have a few things to mention. I agree very much with those people who have spoken about the reduction in the camping days per month per year. A 92% reduction seems quite excessive. When you look at these changes that you're proposing, with the recent changes that you've made in doubling the day use fees and increasing the number of charged day use areas, I live near one. People have gone from $0 to go out and eat their sandwich at lunch to $12 on their phone. It seems like an assault. Now, I too have a Veterans Special Access Pass, having a service-connected disability. And I really appreciate having that. And I think that should remain. In fact, I'd like to see it expanded to all veterans, not just, at least for the day use, as the federal government does, instead of just for disabled, in the case of day use. The other thing is this dynamic pricing business is regressive. A number of people have mentioned that this is going to price out people on the lower end of the income spectrum. I think that's true. And given that parks are public accommodations, we all own these parks. It is wrong to make it harder for somebody in the lower income spectrum to use the parks at a particular time of the year. Thank you very much. I'll be submitting written comments.
Thank you, Herbert. Next we have Barb.
Hello. Good evening. I agree with everything that's been said, and so I won't reiterate the positives of needing lower income and vets and foster parents to be able to camp. But also with the cancellation policy, I 100% agree with the right side, but I think it's not fair to planners who wake up at 5:45 in the morning to book their campsite, because if you don't get up before 6 o'clock and get ready and to be there to click that button to select your campsite at 6 a.m. 6 months prior, you could maybe not get a campsite. But if you book out 6 months and you give a month's notice that you're not going to be there, you get penalized for giving notice just because you booked ahead of time. That makes zero sense. It should not be based on how long you've had your reservation. It should be based on how long notice you're giving that you're not going to be there. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Barb. I believe that's everyone who has not already spoken. If you I have a couple of people who have their hands up, but I'm going to lower all the hands. And if you have not spoken yet, please raise your hand again. Looks like John has not spoken, so go for it, John.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm a disabled veteran, service disability, and also a camp host. So, and I've been doing some traveling around too. I'm an Oregon resident, but I've been traveling the other states. I wondered, I think it was Chet. I'd like to see some of the data of how the SAP savings are really seem to be the key, or at least maybe that's part of this discussion tonight, to saving the budget for the state parks. Just like to see the data, how that's helped. Also, I'd like to know if any evaluation or how much evaluation of other states played into the re-regulations here. Because as I'm traveling, the other states seem to have a state only, a resident favor, and I think in ours here, I think it's all veterans, which is fine too. Maybe there could be a prorated thing. Cancellations, I'm about. If you're not planning, I didn't know about the 6-month reservations ahead. That so they get you on the front end if you're a day late from your reservations, but the cancellations, if someone's not showing up, then that's twice not being paid, or you're not anticipating that kind of income, if you will, or the revenue from that site. Also, just quickly, Salem talks about homelessness for veterans, and there are programs out there. I don't know. I don't see them in Southern Oregon, but perhaps there could be means through the Veterans Homelessness initiatives in Salem to help to support this effort. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, John. That looks to be all of the hands that we have raised. Is there anyone who did not have an opportunity to comment that would like to before we finish this evening? Okay, well, we would like to thank you all for taking your time to provide your comments, and we do value the comments that you have provided, and we'll take those into consideration along with all of the written comments. The written comments are posted weekly on our website, so if you would like to see what other folks are commenting, they are available on the rulemaking website. We will look at the questions that are posed on the here on the website as well. And if there are any process questions that were not answered, we will look to add that information to the rulemaking website as well to ensure that we're fully answering all of the process questions. We very much do value your time, and we'll analyze these comments and make potential changes to the proposed rules before the Parks and Recreation Commission has an opportunity to determine whether to move forward with any of the proposed changes. Before we end, I do want to just share one last time the locations of how to provide a written public comment by January 15th. You can scan this QR code, send it via email or in writing. Thank you all for attending this evening. The public hearing is now closed.